Good evening, happy Thursday, and we are live from Denver, Colorado. This is exciting. This is episode 8 of the Digital Orthodontist Live. I'm your host, Dr. Kyle Fagala, and I'm joined by none other than Dr. Anil Idiculla. Did I say that right?
You did, buddy. Thank you.
Awesome. If you don't know Anil, then what rock have you been living under exactly? Anil is one of my favorite people on planet Earth. He's a tremendous speaker. I don't know why I started with the speaking thing, but you are a tremendous speaker. He's an inspiring and hugely successful orthodontist. And I think most importantly, he's a great friend with an enormous heart. There are very few people I know that have as big a heart as Anil does. Tonight we're going to discuss, and I just want to say on the front end, these are all topics that Anil brought to me. I said, what's off limits? What do you want to discuss? He brought this to me. So we're going to talk about divorce and depression, the corporatization of orthodontics, multiple practice problems, the battle between ego and heart, and much, much more. But first, before I let you talk, you're just sitting there silent. This is hard for you, isn't it?
I'm just waiting, buddy.
Oh, he's just waiting. Okay, cool. We're going to play our theme song. You like the theme song? It's not bad.
I need more bass.
Need more bass? Here, feel it.
Oh,
There's a little bass in it.
bouncing.
It's not quite bouncing. Neil offered a speaker to play this a little louder, and I said, no, it's got to sound a little janky. That's the way we like it on the Digital Orthodontist. Who's out there watching tonight? We've got Maz Mashiri. He's consistent. Yeah. If nothing else, Maz is consistent. Maz, we love you, man. You got some people saying some nice things. Thanks for being out there watching. I know on a Thursday night, there's a lot of other stuff you could be doing. We're glad that you're here with us. I mean, I guess there's a lot of stuff we could be doing, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of people partying around Denver right now.
Yeah, there's a meeting that we're here for. It's the Pro Ortho meeting, and we are taking away from the night to do an interview, sitting so close on this couch together. I don't know if you can see through that camera exactly how close we are, but it's really close. Closer than you would sit at a movie theater with your girlfriend in junior year.
Only
on the back row.
hour 20 left, buddy.
Only an hour 20. It's only going to get better from here. Hey, everybody. So let's start with this. How you been, buddy? How you been?
I've been great, man. Yeah, life is really good right now. Life is really good.
You don't have to sit that close. I mean, it's like
okay.
That's probably, yeah. Okay.
Gotcha.
I'm just messing around. All right, so I want to jump in with this. We're going to jump in. We've got so much content. We're not doing any games tonight. We're just jumping straight in. We're getting serious. And I started this new segment. This was Anna's idea, which, by the way, Anna is at home with my kids. Hello to any of them that are watching. Love you guys. But she had this idea to go over current events in the orthodontic world. And I mean, you know, it's been a busy week, let's say. And so Brian and I discussed some things last week. Let's jump in with this. Yesterday, I feel so like parliamentary here, but per the arbitration ruling, all Invisalign experiences, that's their stores, were forced to close. So do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing for orthodontists?
I actually think this is bad.
Okay.
And just from personal experience, our flagship office is, fly Eagles fly, baby. Our flagship office is about half a mile from the experience store that was here in Colorado, and it was great. We saw a lot of referrals. Conversion rate was super high, and the staff that they have there are great at educating patients on Invisalign. I'm a big believer that the more stores and more awareness that we have for orthodontics in general, the better it is. I mean, if there was a store for braces, I think that people would be really, really happy because the braces patients will be coming in. So we got to get past whether or not we should do aligners. I'm glad that conversation was over because that took forever. But I actually think it's bad. I think any awareness is good. It's like a billboard shutting down in my mind.
Interesting. Yeah, we didn't have one in Memphis. I don't really know what that impact is going to be. I will say that we have a Smile Direct Club, Smile Shop in town, and I do see people from there, and I haven't sensed that I've lost any. That's a longer conversation in terms of what is the impact on that. I do think as someone that does a lot of Invisalign, I think on net it would be good for me. And so I think my thought is bad also from a standpoint of I think it does empower other groups that are not necessarily helping us as much. So there's that. What do you think Invisalign's next steps will be, to whatever degree you can share that? Because I know you do. Do you still speak for them or not?
I do. My speaking has been a little limited over the past year or two. We'll get into that. And a good buddy, David Sarver, who's kind of mentored me, has given me really sage advice just to slow down speaking, and I've really listened to him. So thanks, Dr. Sarver. But Yeah, I think their next move is all got to be PR moves, just like any company that has any kind of hiccup, right? So now they can pivot fully towards doctor-directed care, which is awesome, and that's only going to help us. I want to focus on the positive, that the message is going to be good. I don't want to focus on, well, they have to do that now because the store's closed down. That's talking about the past. That gets us nowhere. So I think they're going to make a really strong move to get doctors to do their care now, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think their next pivots will be good for us, and I think some of that is because it has to be. I mean, they've kind of run out of some options. I'll be interested to see what happens. We won't go too deep into that conversation because it can always go deeper when you talk about this stuff. I do want to shift into this though. This has been a big conversation, and I'll just say on the front end, there's people actually bidding. If we were to sign this mug and donate it to charity, they're actually bidding for that mug. So that's what's happening right now. This is what people are doing.
Aha.
They're bidding on it. So our signatures carry
Amazing.
somewhere.
Let's go, Bills.
If it's on an
Damn Bills, win that baby.
Yeah. Hey, there's Anna. I said something sweet about you earlier, and you probably missed it. So I want to have this conversation. I know that probably you and I don't agree. I am certain that there's people out there that don't agree with me. And someone kind of mentioned this past week. Brian and I talked a little bit about bullying or shaming on Facebook groups and some of the negativity and some things like that. There are people all on the end of like, I don't want any of that, and then there's people on the end that think that nothing should be censored. And honestly, I'm sort of somewhere in the middle. I saw Cole Johnson comment about how he's sort of like extreme moderate, and I kind of find myself in that position. I feel like I'm sort of Switzerland. It doesn't mean that I can't stand for things. I don't have strong opinions, but with some of this, honestly, just don't quite know. But I guess as it pertains to all this, I mean, there's been some things that have kind of gotten fiery the last few months. The idea of KOLs and how KOLs can't be trusted. I know you're a KOL. I'm a KOL for companies. I think I can be trusted. I hope I can be trusted. I think my motives are good, but I think there are the ideas that KOLs have secret motives. Airway-friendly orthodontics, the people to whatever varying degree believe certain things about that have been heavily criticized for that. And then now, most recently, supporting direct-to-consumer aligner systems. So that's a huge conversation. Let's just ask this. If you were an admin of a group, how would you handle those conversations when they come up? Somebody's being shamed or kind of called out for something like that.
I don't think I'm politically correct enough to be an admin of a group, to be honest, because I have very little patience for the bullying and stuff like that goes on. It's tough for me to see. My good buddy, who's an orthodontist up in Toronto, Bruno Venditelli, told me about a quote that he lives by, which I think we all have to live by more and more, but that really changed my perspective on stuff. But he says, never wrestle with a pig because both of you will get dirty, but the pig will like it. So it's gross what I see. I choose not to even try to go in and moderate stuff. I used to do that back in the past and say, yo, chill, just be positive. And it would just make my blood boil a little bit and get me more involved. I'm not gonna wrestle with pigs. I'm done with that. If I see somebody absolutely doing something very, very overt, I'll probably just call that person directly, but I just don't think Facebook is the right medium, even though they've done that. I just think it's deplorable. And it's funny, actually, what some people might consider the founder of bullying on Facebook, Ben Burris, our friendship started, believe it or not, when I talked to him about what he was doing on Facebook. And that is how my friendship with him started, and he's been a great friend and other great friends through that. So
yeah. So a lot to unpack there. Probably some places we won't go with this topic too. I don't handle criticism well. I don't handle adversity well or conflict well. That's just me. And I think I'm pretty, like, from a mental health perspective, in a pretty good spot. I have to know that there's people that really don't handle it well, and that when these things happen, they really don't handle it well. I also know there's people that I saw commenting earlier today that it doesn't bother them at all. So I'm not trying to call people out, but Douglas, he's an admin on OrthoPearls. I don't think this stuff bothers him at all. And so he said this in a comment. I'm not trying to call him out or say anything negative. I think he's like, I don't see the point. Like, why don't you just go on to the next comment? I think the problem is that some people can't just go on to the next comment. I think it does kind of get inside their head and things like that. At the same time, I do feel like one function of these groups is to be able to have open discourse on these topics. I don't think that discourse should be censored at all. And I think that there was an opportunity, and you may disagree with this, there's an opportunity when you're called out for something to get in there and to have that discourse and to defend yourself. And I've seen that happen. I've seen people get called out, have the conversation back and forth and kind of come to a conclusion on it. I think when you're unwilling to have that discourse, you don't get to have a voice in that, and I don't think that's good either. What are your thoughts on that, though? So if you're called out for something, are you going to go in there? Are you going to have the conversation, or are you just going to kind of back away from it?
If it's a safe group, like some groups that I'm in, I'll totally hop in there because I know those people have my best interest in mind, and it's iron sharpens iron, right? In life, we don't want backstabbers, we want front stabbers. I don't want somebody to talk about me behind my back. I want them to actually tell me to my face what's going on. That's exactly how I live, and that's exactly how my close tribe of friends operates. But we do it out of love. These other groups where people don't even know these people, it's an arena of bullying. It's worse than schools because it causes a riot effect. And the poison that's Facebook is that, some people will just put a comment in as a subject and they know it's going to go virally bad versus you can put an amazing comment and it could go virally good. Now listen, I know our motto is live life smiling. That's what we strive to be. I have tough days. I am tough on my staff. My staff says I got to cheer up most of the time during work. So I am not here saying all of this is like fruits and flowers and everything's all nice, right?
Yep.
So, listen, I just think that I think these groups are going to die if people continue to tolerate or interact with pigs.
Over
I said it.
Negativity.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, and this is not just directed at one group in particular, there is great stuff in all the groups, and I think it's the vast majority of it. I think there has just been a little bit of a preponderance of that, which I think where I struggle with that is that there was a time when there was one, channel, basically. There was one group, and it was accused of being too negative, and when it ended, the idea was, we're going to have a positive group over here, we're not going to be about that, and I think in some ways it's returned to that.
Which is awesome. I just think I think we all have to fight like human nature just a little bit better because it's a rabbit hole that we can go down and we don't even know. So I'm not saying that people are knowledgeably saying, hey, let's totally screw over this doctor over here, and then everyone has a text string and then they hop on. It's just a slippery slope where we have to just, I think, check our motives, check our emotions, and do our best to be on the straight path. And I commend the admins for doing what you do because I told you I can't do it. It's not like I don't want to. I think that it would keep me up at night and it would really cause me some inner stress. So kudos to all of you because without you we wouldn't even have these groups. So
you can look at me and I'm an admin.
Kudos to all of you.
We're too serious. We should be having more fun right now. I don't know.
Okay, let's kick it, man.
We just got so
That's
serious.
That's why I said we need some tunes.
You need some like bass drop.
No Cowboys fans have checked in yet?
No, they've not
Any
checked
comments?
in. Yeah, they've not made it to this.
Gotcha.
This is episode 8. This is too far into things.
Gotcha.
I'm a Cowboys fan actually. So
Are you really?
I am. Yeah, I was born a Cowboys fan. I'm sorry about that.
That's cute. Yeah.
I did see the Eagles play the Saints though in the playoffs. I watched that.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't see them play in the playoffs the year before though.
We all
missed that game.
I understand it. I want to give Douglas just an opportunity. He said, actually, stuff does bother me. I'm not immune, but he believes that if you don't want to get involved, just scroll past it. And he said, thanks for the shout out. Like I said, I was not trying to speak for you. Maybe I misread your comment. I do think it's true to say that it's a continuum in terms of how people can handle those sorts of things.
Yeah.
My fear is for the people that cannot handle it well, and I remember this distinctly from about 3 or 4 years ago inside Orthodontic Exchange. One person actually quit the group because of an argument, and I felt terrible for him. And it stuck with me ever since then, and I don't think he's ever been around in any of the other groups. And so, anyway, we could talk more about that. Let's jump into this. Let's jump into the actual interview.
Yeah.
Current events, man. Current events. It's big stuff. Thanks for being a part of that. Let me know if you got current events in the future. Benito is a Cowboys fan.
And here's a disclaimer because Kyle and I are sitting so close to each other, I can feel his body temperature rise whenever I say anything slightly controversial.
I thought you were good.
The opinions of this interview, if it comes from the guy with the hat backwards looking like a thug, those are my opinions, not necessarily Kyle's.
Yeah, I look like your parole officer right now.
This is great. This is awesome.
No, Anil, you got to stay in this 5-mile radius. All right, let's jump in with this. That was kind of fun. All right, so now that the easy questions are out of the way.
Oh, those are the easy ones.
Those are the easy ones. Let's jump in with a few background questions. So if you don't know Anil, where were you born? Who was your family? What are some key elements in your childhood that helped you get to where you are today?
Born in Philly, 77 kiddo,
Cool.
and born and raised in Philly. Spent my whole life there. Younger sister, that's 4 years younger. Older brother is 4 years older. And my mom and dad, they moved to Philly. You guys probably know my dad passed away when I was younger. So raised by mama, and life is great.
Yeah, good deal. School. What's your school background?
School. I went to William Penn Charter up until high school, then Philmont Christian Academy, then I went to Penn for college, then Nova for dental, and then back up to Penn for residency.
Cool.
Yeah.
You didn't want me to say this, but I'm going to. It's on your website.
Yeah, we don't need to say that. That's stupid stuff.
Okay. Anil, he was first in his dental school class.
Yeah, you know what's cool? There's a lot of studies that say that people graduate first are not the most successful people.
Right.
So it's actually a scarlet letter. Those of you that advertise that stuff, I know.
Here's the deal, though.
Care, but
here's the deal. Heather Hopkins, I think she never fully confirmed it, but I'm pretty sure she was first in her class too. So we've had at least 2 number ones on the show, and you both are complete outliers and hugely successful and inspirational. And so, to all the first number ones out there in your dental school class, what's up? What's up? I was what you want to think what I was? Guess what I was?
how many people in the class?
It's not that bad. There's 96.
Okay. You're obviously razzing me for number one, which means you weren't number one.
Well,
correct?
I'm a little jealous. Yeah, there's a little envy going on.
Okay. The politically correct answer is 2.
No, it was not 2. No.
Okay. I said that was politically
this is
correct. That's not my answer. That was
sort of
politically
turn. Are you
correct
just going to say
answer.
3 next?
I'm going to say you were 7?
I was 7.
Haha, look at that.
3-way tie for 7. It was amazing. It's like that final scene of Reservoir Dogs. It was like we're in a triangle and then ended. So you've seen that movie?
It's a lucky number,
Yeah,
man.
for sure. Let's jump into this. Practice history. When did you start your practice? You start from scratch. You buy.
So when I came out to Colorado, I started working for corporate. So I worked in GP offices as a corporate orthodontist and jumped around town. Was in 13 offices, and then just started opening offices in 2008 in Colorado, and just went kind of crazy from there. My East Coast ADD kicked in. So
How many practices do you have now?
we just closed on another practice, so we are up to, I guess technically it's 5 practices in Colorado.
It's awesome.
So, yeah.
Let's shift into this.
Okay.
I listened to your podcast. It was excellent. The AAO podcast with Dr. Guyman on the topic of depression and suicide. Just today I saw a post of a doctor. I don't want to give any details, but a hugely successful doctor, attractive family, 2 kids. He was successful in other ways in his life as well. Took his life last month. I have a friend whose partner took his life. I think these are stories that we hear all the time. These are orthodontists. These are people that are successful, that seemingly from the outside have it all, and they're taking their lives, they're ending it. So it's a big deal. I'll give a couple stats. Suicide rates over the last 20 years have increased in literally every state except for one, and that's Nevada. And I don't know if that's a Vegas effect or what, but in every state except for Nevada, they've gone up. Most states have gone up more than 30%. This is suicide. 45,000 suicides last year. Compare that to 19,000 homicides. So make a huge deal out of homicides. If there's a murder in your city, it's a huge deal.
Yep.
45,000 suicides last year. And then this is a big one. I think y'all shared this stat. Is the suicide rate of dentists is more than twice the rate of the general population. This is even scarier. It's 3 times higher than that of other white-collar workers. So people who have a similar lifestyle to us, they have the same educational background, they have the same freedom to live life that they want, we're 3 times as likely to commit suicide. What's going on? What's the deal?
There's people that are better experts than me on this stuff, but I mean, I know suicide is kind of the last. It's almost like a cry for help, or just it's the ultimate end of loneliness. And I know that our professions are lonely at the offices, even though we have a big team or whatever, because of just the strata of doctor to rest of staff, sometimes rest of team. And I know that if people do not have close friends to talk things through in the orthodontic community, it can get incredibly lonely. And then, at a meeting today, I've never heard it this way, but orthodontists are trained to pick up on what's wrong in an instant. That's what we do at every single appointment. We don't look at what's right, we look at what's wrong, because we have to fix it at that appointment to get patients to perfection, or as close to perfection as possible. So you add Facebook on that, and you start seeing these true or false stats on this, and this doctor's doing this, and this is happening here, and everyone's posting this, and it makes us look at ourselves and think that we're less worthy, and it really sucks, and it's hard. I think we got to depend a lot less, especially orthodontists, on our success based on relative means, on how other people do, and really find, our value in ourselves. And I think we'll talk a little bit about ego versus heart and that battle. But the more I've read up on that, the more I've learned about that, the more at peace I am with just how life is. Because if you know that you are truly in the best spot you could be right now, then that's just what it is. You just have to be. You have to be. Be a good person and just be. Just live in the moment and just be the best you can. Yeah. Right? And that's all that matters, because that is the perfect path for you to be on. I talked to a mother who was struggling with her daughter, and she was crying on the side, and her daughter's struggling. And I just told her, I said, listen, this is stuff your daughter has to go through to become the woman that you hope for her to be. And otherwise we would just meet with every person, every grandpa and grandma, get all their advice, and we would just know it. We don't know it. I mean, the books are there. People post these things on Facebook. Like, we asked, a 99-year-old what their 3 top things were, and we read it and we're like, yeah, that's awesome. Okay, and then we just stray and we do other stuff, and until we learn ourselves, we don't know what that's like. I went into my marriage, for example, thinking you get married one time, you commit forever to somebody, and it is a lifelong partnership. And honestly, I told you, like I said, I'm better because of the divorce, but my view has changed. I'm not saying go ahead and get married, and if it doesn't work out, just go ahead and punt, right? What I'm saying is there are circumstances where this stuff happens, and I know if I didn't go through that, I know myself, I would still probably think a little bit less, as hard as that is, of people that have been through divorces, that they didn't try enough, they didn't love hard enough, and they might have a commitment level that I would have. And I'm living proof that I tried my best. And some people might think that about me, and that's okay. That's totally fine. But I think we just have to be a little more open-minded and realize the path that people are on is perfect, because what I went through was perfect. What I went through was absolutely perfect.
No, it's part of your story, and I think a lot of us are benefiting from you being willing to share that. I always try and get to the root cause. It's funny you say, like, in an instant we're trying to diagnose what's the issue, how can I fix it. That's true of me in general. Maybe that's orthodontics rubbing off on me. I think there are some factors at play in terms of the last 20 years. Why is suicide going up? I think social media has to be a part of it. I think the interconnectivity of just the digital world, that we are aware of way more than we ever should. I don't think that as humans we were built to be aware of that many things and have to react to that many emotional pressures. And I think that when we go through tragedy in life, whatever it is, big or small, I think that there is this heightened sense that people are going to be aware of it. And as orthodontists, those of us who were number 1, those of us who were number 7, but we were all successful. We were always told our whole lives we're the best at this. And as a 3rd grader, you're really smart and you should be a doctor someday. So there's always this pressure to perform and to do the best that we can, and at the same time not to fail. And so we hide our failures, and that is our strategy. We kind of put the Brussels sprout under the napkin. It's like we're trying to hide what we're doing that's not right, and we reach a point where it boils over and we don't know how to handle it. And I think that for you to sell all your practices would have been a huge embarrassment. Like in your soul, you would have felt embarrassed, and yet if that had been the right thing, you should do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think if you wake up on a morning, you can't go on with life because of whatever it is, you need to fight for it if it's your marriage or if it's your relationship. But if it's like it's a practice, like, get rid of it.
If you think about it, I wasn't thinking bad things about myself, but that is potentially practice suicide, where I could reinvent myself in a different area and have a new story and table all the things that bother me. So I'd be remiss in not saying this. If we're talking about suicide and all that stuff, I challenge everybody watching to reach out to their co-residents that they haven't heard from. I challenge every single person out here to reach out to somebody different every single week that you haven't heard from in a long time and just ask, how are you? And ask, really, how are you? And just see how they're doing. And I would also challenge your team members, your managers or whatever, to really just do a heart check. Do a heart check on what is going on with team members. Some people are like, oh, they're my team members, they're not my friends. These are people. These are people. And nothing would rock my world more than a team member of mine that I had that I didn't pick up on stuff. And I'm not saying we're always going to pick up on stuff, because it always is a surprise, right? But you gotta ask the questions. You gotta ask the questions.
Yeah.
And don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed about that stuff.
Yeah. That's great. So text somebody, call somebody. I think that's awesome. Let's all do that. Let's text our co-residents tonight.
Just check up on them.
Yeah.
Just see how's life. You okay?
Yeah.
How's your wife? How's your husband? Like, how are the kids? All that stuff. It's just important stuff.
And we talked about the negative things in the Facebook groups, but there is a huge potential positive to it. And the interconnectivity, while it can be negative and while it can be stressful, there is a beauty to that if we use it and we wield that weapon in the right way. And that's why it's a big deal to me to talk about the bullying and shaming, is I want to wield this weapon that we've been given through technology in a positive way and in the best way possible. And yes, sometimes that does mean having arguments about things that are bad for our profession. But a lot of times I think that means valuing the human being on the other side of that computer or that phone to the nth degree. Because that ultimately, for me, I would rather lose an argument and win someone's livelihood. And so I don't want to be so obtuse in saying that, but I think that people matter more to me than whether I'm right or not. I want to protect our profession, I want to strengthen our profession, and I also want to be good to people. That's just me.
And for the Facebook things, this is not, if the Facebook stuff with admins that are doing an amazing job, if that bullying and stuff like that, whatever you want to call it, if that disgusts me, but the admins are doing a great job, just imagine our patients where they're talking on social media. There is no admin, nothing. And just imagine what they go through, and imagine their lack of emotional stability, their lack of peer-to-peer help. I mean, it is scary.
Yeah.
So
as connected as we are, we're as isolated as we've ever been. And I think it's because a lot of our relationships that are digital are illusory. They're not real. And once we realize in a panic that they weren't real and that people aren't there for us, I think that is the big kind of rock bottom moment where we start to think about suicide, or we start to think dark thoughts.
And I got to say one more thing, because this is important. If any of you out there, for any reason, are thinking bad thoughts, or you feel like you're alone, you got to call me tonight. I don't care what's going on at any conference. I don't care what's going on this weekend. And I'm not here to save you. All I'm here to tell you is you're not alone. And I don't have the answers. Okay? And my number is 215, Philly, 215-908-0008. 215-908-0008. You text me, you call me, whatever you need. You're not alone. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to be fine. I don't have the answers. All I know is we're in this together. We are in this together. It is not worth doing anything that drastic. I promise you, it's not worth it. We'll come out on the other side together.
Yeah, it's great. Let's shift, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's shift. Something a little lighter.
All right.
Let's have an amuse-bouche.
Perfect. Let's talk
as
about
it were.
Politics.
Yeah.
The government.
Sort of, kind of. Yeah, let's talk about the government and how it's out to get us. The future of our profession. We've alluded to this a couple times. You're a consultant to the AAO Council on Communications, and as far as I understand, you've been instrumental in changes to the Consumer Awareness Program, the CAP. What's the status on all that? What's going on?
So the council is instrumental in all the changes, and the AAO staff and the Board of Trustees that
I knew you would
allow
be
us to
humble
do all
about
this
that,
stuff.
but
This
yeah.
is not me.
Sure.
A chairman of a council is a moderator. It's a whole council.
Who's on that? I know Courtney's on that. Who
Courtney, Gene McGill, Mike Reagan, Lauren Vitkus. Yeah, great people.
Yeah.
Great people. It's awesome. It's the best thing. The best thing I've done in terms of for any organization. So that's been great. So where are things going is the question. Like what?
Yeah. What's to come from that? Because I know there are a lot of people that are really critical of the CAP that don't like it.
Here's the deal. Like, if it was up to me, everyone would be assessed $10,000 a year, and we could actually go ahead and compete with Smile Direct Club and Invisalign and other things, but mainly Smile Direct Club, right? $10,000 a year. So when you're ready to ante up, go ahead. And I think we've proven like we will use your dollars, and it's going to be awesome. And you will see us on TV, and we'll be on the Super Bowl, and we'll have celebrities that are endorsed. That's the bottom line. And who wants to pay $10,000 a year? Like 6 of us, right? So we have to be fiscally responsible. So we're just going to decide, by we, I'm talking about the Council on Communications. We're going to decide with only $600, $800 a year, and by the way, we're asking for $1,200 a year this year to try and bump it up a small smidgen, right? 1/10 of what Smile Direct Club does. With something like that, we can totally dominate. With $1,200 a year, we can dominate the digital media market, which would be amazing. And all we're doing is people that are checking out Smile Direct Club and other things like that, we're just re-educating and we are just refunneling towards the doctor website. Listen, I don't get paid to tell you this stuff, people. Like, this is elementary. If you're spending X% of your revenue on marketing for your own practice, why don't we spend X% of our revenue on marketing for the orthodontist? And it's not even an assessment potentially. So there's a lot of stuff that I would like to see done. A lot of it has to do with, I know the council has not been the best at educating what's going on, but we're doing that a lot. We're going to talk a lot about it at the AO this year. And side note, I guarantee you there will be some very passionate young leaders that will be running for AEO leadership on higher ups. I mean, you look out for Trista Felty-Sang. Look out for, she is like the future of the PCSO and the future of exactly what we need as young leaders. And because I can talk more about AEO governance at another time.
Well, we're going to get to it.
We are?
If you
Okay.
want. Let's just get into it right now. I'll say this.
Okay.
CAP, people have different opinions on it. Some people, you might call them miserly. They don't want to spend the money. I don't think that's the majority. I think probably the middle is a group of people that pay it, but they're sort of like,
I got to address something.
What's that going to? Go ahead. Yeah, what's up?
So some people think the AEO has yet to show they can produce an ad that is effective. Come to the lecture at the AEO on Monday and you'll see what's effective. I promise you. That's not a challenge. It's just we have not done a good job of communicating the effectiveness. So that's on us. That's totally on us. I could say, of course it's effective. How do you not know this? Here's the deal. It has been effective. Otherwise, my voice would have been really different. You know me. I'm going to speak out on my truth, right? I definitely would be calling out the council and actually not staying on as a consultant at year 7 if I didn't think what we were doing is working. I promise you. Like, I got no skin in the game other than trying to help everybody out. That's it. So I'm telling you, the things are effective. We got to do a better job communicating. So that's on me, people. Like, we got to do a better job. It's getting there. Come to that talk. I'm going to talk about it a little bit at the Kravitz Idiculla show.
The Kravitz
but it's
Idiculla
working.
Fagala Johnson show.
Oh, yeah, the Fagala Johnson.
I
That
just-
Power
sorry.
Morning is like big pimpin'.
I want to see you there
love it.
Saturday morning. Y'all get to open for me. I'm excited that y'all get to do
Yeah,
that.
it's pretty
It's
sweet.
a big gig for you to open for me.
Yeah, and after our lecture, there's going to be an after party at the bar outside, so I don't know who's speaking.
That's gonna be awesome. I want to say this. Obviously, and that's exactly what I was getting at. Is that someone says the ads aren't effective? Some people are gonna say, well, they are effective. What should the ads be? We're never gonna all agree. So I think the majority of people fall in the middle where they're like, well, I would do it a little bit differently, or I would do it this way. I think then there are people on the end that are like, man, I'd give $10,000. Let's double down on it. And then there's people that don't want to pay anything. Fair enough. And we're not gonna fix this tonight. I would say for me as a digital guy, the shift from TLC commercials and magazines and Good Housekeeping or whatever it was in, I'm showing my ignorance, to digital, I feel like that is a more measurable platform. I feel like that is a platform where we can have impact, and that's where eyes increasingly are. So I applaud the shift towards that. I think Katie, from whatever I've ever seen, is very impressive. I don't know if she's watching tonight. And so I applaud y'all for your efforts. We got to do something. I don't think that overnight it's going to be that everyone on earth is like, oh, I'm going to go see an AAO orthodontist. But we have to do something. We have to be there in that moment where they're searching for, braces and things like that. I think it's upon us in our local market to tell our own story, to have Google Ads out such that they visit our website, and such that when they search for a commercial they saw about Smile Direct Club, that they find us when they do that search. But it's also the AAO's job to help support us in that and to do their own form of marketing to get that message out there.
Yep.
I think we've got to work together on it, and I don't think the AAO can fix it just yourself. The AAO is not going to do everything for us. So I think it's on all of us to tell that story, and I hope that that continues to improve, and that y'all do a better job maybe of communicating it so people understand that. And at the same time, some people are always going to think it's bad. There's no way you're going to win that battle. So
that's okay. And we need to start thinking about like the orthodontic marketplace as like this chest of toys, and orthodontists were like the oldest kid, right? We're the firstborn. We got all the toys, and all of a sudden, and this is coming from a non-parent, but this is an uncle that's got 2 nephews, and all of a sudden the next kid comes, and the next kid wants to play with toys. Oldest kid does not want to share. Here's the deal. There's a ton of toys, people. Like so many toys. And the more that these companies that we don't like raise awareness, they are unlocking toy chests all over the freaking house. So all we got to do is just keep getting toys. But we don't need all the toys. You don't even have the capacity to treat all the toys. So just get some toys. Life is good.
Yeah, so that's kind of speaking to the abundance, scarcity mindset. We talked about that last week, actually. So this is a huge question. Maybe I don't need to ask it. Maybe I'm just going to keep moving on. This is going to be our longest interview ever. I'm going to go until it shuts us down. It's going to be like an hour and a half.
Reload.
And we're going to reload for take 2, the after show. Where's our profession headed? Maybe where's the AAO headed? Which of those two do you want to answer?
Oh, AAO's getting lean and mean, people. Shout out to the RMSO and PCSO and trying to force the talk about some kind of merger. So, long story short, RMSO and PCSO, they like to call it that they're dating now, which is awesome.
A little weird.
I don't know. You've been to California? It's pretty sweet, man.
Everybody's dating now. I
what
saw
I'm
a lady
saying.
actually married herself. I saw that in a news story. So anyway, it makes all the sense in the world. Go ahead.
So RMSO and PCSO are dating because as much as I would love to run for AEO president, I think if I ran...
Wait, are you announcing that? Let's announce it. It doesn't.
I'm only announcing if Trista runs with me.
Okay.
Because we're gonna do a Trista Anil 2020.
You would make a great vice. You'd be like a hype man.
Great vice. That's
You're sort of
awesome.
like-
That was the best compliment ever.
You're the Flavor
And this
Flav.
is over. You're the best vice president.
You just got done saying that Trista was going to be the future of the
So I'm like
AO.
DJ Jazzy Jeff, and she's Will Smith.
Sure.
Sweet. What's
I was-
DJ Jazzy Jeff doing right now?
Like
just
it's probably
DJing
got
and
real
stuff,
estate
but-
stuff going on.
Real estate.
I don't know.
Yeah, he lives in an apartment.
No, he's probably doing those little like video shout outs where you pay him like $30 for like a
Those are incredible.
Hey, what's
though.
up? This is DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Those are
Cameos.
unbelievable.
I don't know, something like that.
So,
Where do we-
anyways,
yeah.
yeah. AEO's getting more lean, just because the term length and all that stuff. We're going to look at all that stuff and look at the governance and
Right on.
and try and get younger leaders because let's be honest, some of the younger leaders just know what's affecting the profession a little bit better at times. The current board of trustees is amazing, so no doubt they are totally in touch with stuff. But we got to work through some stuff and get lean and mean. So
Right
it's
on.
good. It's good.
Yeah, where our profession is headed, that's too big a conversation.
Yeah.
But here's a way to shift into that conversation.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about large practices, corporatization of orthodontics. I talked to Chris Benson last night, and so Chris, thank you. Another redhead. What is Kyle drinking?
Chris.
I am drinking, as I always drink, tap water. That's what I drink. It's not donut juice. There's nothing in there. It's not spiked. It is water. And it wasn't quite cold enough, so I put a little ice in it.
Sorry, Indians
It's
love
melted.
warm water.
Yeah, Indian.
Sheldon
yeah.
Salins, where you at? You would
Yeah,
back me up?
He's going to get on here and do his little thing. And so, according to Chris Benson, around 10% of ortho right now is corporate. Dental is about 20%. I think this is one of the biggest questions about what's the future of orthodontics. Corporate orthodontics, no doubt. No one knows for sure how where it will go
Why?
or how
Why?
fast.
Why? I'm challenging that.
You don't think that's a big
Future of
conversation?
orthodontics is corporate orthodontics.
No. I didn't say the future of orthodontics is corporate orthodontics. I said that's a big part of the conversation in terms of what is the
Oh.
future of orthodontics.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
no doubt in that. It's a big thing that we're all concerned about. The consensus from Chris and his group is that corporate will reach 30 to 40% of the market and then level off. As we sit here today, Smile Docs is the biggest DSO in ortho. It's got about 110 doctors, 175 locations that will grow. And then here's a big thing about the future of our profession. 65% of residents want to work as an employee upon graduation. Obviously, practice set plays a part in that. What are your thoughts on all this and how corporate's going to play a role in the future of ortho?
So I think we got to break this down into different age groups potentially of orthodontists.
Okay.
So we'll address the youngest last, so 0 to 10 years out, and then let's go 11 to 20. So let's just say senior docs that are looking to sell. I think it's super appealing. I mean, you get to hear like I could sell to Kyle for X, and I could sell to
Jacks.
corporate for whatever 1.2x, whatever the number is. Who cares, right? It's more financially rewarding to go ahead and sell to a corporate group, which makes sense. So it's a little scary because you got all these practices at the top that are either going to be bought privately or by corporate, and I don't know how many of the private buyers are also going to want to sell privately. These young residents and young people graduating that are scraping to buy a practice, I mean, in 20, 30 years, if corporate is going to grow the way they do, you're going to get a potentially bigger check from corporate, and you're going to have to make a decision that is best for you, which is understandable. And then you got the people in my age range, and we're the age range that might be looking to become founders of these equity groups, because these equity groups need doctors to lead the charge, which is awesome. And I know for a fact that there's going to be some amazing private equity backed groups led by great doctors. You need to know this. So I think you need to look, if you're going to go the equity route, the path is going to be best for you if you choose that. You need to look at who is going to be at the top as a founder that potentially can do their best to protect the profession within means. There's going to be other board seats, right? There's corporate and stuff. Will it eventually be lost? Will that funnel get lost? I don't know. I assume it gets diluted. But for somebody who's looked at this opportunity to be a founder for 4+ years, all I can choose is the path that's best for me. And the path that's best for me is not to join private equity, because I worry too much of the profession. And I am here to tell you, I don't think it's inevitable that the profession will get diluted. And I think that there's a way for doctors to band together, not on a Facebook group, but to truly band together and have a doctor-run, doctor-led way to do it. And that's best for me. Yeah. And I'm not here to judge other people that are choosing other things, and I hope that they don't judge me for doing this. But for me, in my heart, putting my ego aside and those dollars, I have to choose what's best for me in my heart, and that's what I think is the way to do it. And I'm going to tell you right now, my biggest mission right now, because I got a lot of free time on my hands now. My biggest mission right now is to discover a way to have a doctor-run, doctor-led organization. So,
well, I look forward to hearing more about that. For me, in my heart, it's to remain the owner of my practice and to be able to control it in the way that I want to. And I started from scratch, and so it wasn't handed to me by any means. But I think even now 6 years later, it's a lot harder. The hurdles are a lot higher. The practice debt's a lot higher. And so I think we as a group have to reach the conclusion that this is part of our future. We have to understand it. I don't know that you have to embrace it in the sense that you have to be a fan of it or excited about the corporatization of orthodontics, but that is just going to be a new reality for our profession.
I think you got to realize when private equity is coming around a lot, anybody that's looking to sell to private equity, I think you just need to ask the private equity group, how much money are you going to make off of me at the end of the day? How much money do you hope to make off of me and my practice? Ask that question, and then let's just see if your decision changes or whatever. For some people, it doesn't matter, and that's okay. Just look at the founders and just ask them how much money they're going to make on you, because I think it's a very smart business move for private equity to get orthodontists on board.
Right.
It's just not right for me.
I hear you. DJ Jazzy Jeff, net worth. What do you think his net worth?
It's big. He's like one of the most successful DJs, right? It's not going to be Will Smith wise.
No, he's not on Will Smith's level.
But he is truly probably the best DJ right now.
Are you being serious?
I'm dead serious.
Oh, okay.
I'm dead serious. Like, he is. But you wouldn't know that because he's the vice president like me, right?
He's just a vice.
Whatever.
He's
just a DJ with an apartment.
Joe Biden's getting a lot of PR this week. That's another story.
Okay.
So $8.5 million. That's not bad. DJ Jazzy Jeff, just for the guy that plays.
$8.5 net worth?
Yeah. Guy playing drums in the background in the little dance.
He should have sold a PE.
Should have sold a PE.
Ooh.
Let's shift into this in terms of corporate. You talked about something called social EBITDA. I probably said that wrong. For those that don't know, because there's probably some that don't, EBITDA, how do you say it? EBITDA. Everybody says it differently. EBITDA, whatever you want to say. Tomato. It stands for earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization, It's used when DSOs buy practices, and you'll hear about this 4, 5, 6, 7 times of EBITDA. What do you mean by social EBITDA? And I hope that's the last time I say that word.
So, social capital is a phrase that my good buddy Andy Seth, you guys should look up Andy Seth. He's here in Denver. He's incredible. He is one of my closest buddies and super enlightened. He's the one that taught me about ego versus heart and just being in the right path. He's a guy I meet with every single week as a buddy, and it's amazing. So shout out to you, Andy. Thanks for what you do, man. But he talks about social capital and how important that is in life. And I'm going to just talk about social EBITDA because everyone's talking about EBITDA now and people thinking about selling and all that stuff. I need you to think about the social EBITDA you're building up. You're looking at, we talked about bullying and these things. Some of these doctors that are now being talked bad about, whether good or not, like they had built up a ton of social EBITDA, a ton of social net worth, and you can see how quickly that disintegrates. Private equity, because typically it's a financial move in general, they need doctors with social EBITDA to legitimize certain things in my books, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm just here to challenging you that the most valued thing in your life is not your practice and the profitable EBITDA. It is your social EBITDA. And you need to know you can lose it like this by saying the wrong thing, being judged. This interview might decrease my social EBITDA or cause a crash if I say the wrong thing.
It's crashing.
Right?
I'm
it's already gone.
I'm watching your stock.
It's already
over here.
gone. Sweet.
Anil, it's not good. We're gonna try and get it back though. But go ahead.
Perfect.
You're making a great point. Go ahead.
I'm here to tell you that. Just imagine from my path where I think that social EBITDA is super valuable. You get a bunch of doctors that value social EBITDA. That you put that together, there is no multiple you can put on that. And you get those doctors to try and protect the profession for the people that want to do that in whatever way. To me, that's game over. That's night. That's all you need. Everyone gets equity. Everyone shares. Everyone builds it. It's really great in my mind.
Yeah, right on. I agree. You're speaking, you're preaching to the choir. Multiple practices. You have 5. If you could start over and do it again, would you go the route of multiple practices? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
I would, just because of my East Coast. Like if I went to the same office every single day, still right now, I think I would get a little bit bored, even though it is shown over and over again. It's so much more efficient and overhead can be less, and it's great and it's comfortable, and I think you get better staff retention that way.
Yeah.
I really like serving different demographics and different populations, and I enjoy spreading our love. I enjoy diversifying my orthodontic portfolio because one office might go down, another one goes up. To me, that's just a smart strategy, but it's not for everybody. So.
I think that's the big thing. I think that people are chasing the dreams of other people a lot of times, myself included. I opened a 3rd location. It was too much for me as one doctor. I'm closing it in 2 weeks, and I'm going to 2 days, or sorry, two locations. That's what's going to be best for me. And so I think sometimes you win by losing, and I think in that situation that's the case. So I think that probably the most profitable scenario is a single practice, and if you can pull it off, I think from everyone I've ever talked to who has multiple practices, if you can be happy in a single practice, do it and stick with it. And I think you have to know yourself. And sometimes you don't know yourself until you do it. And then if you do it and it's a nightmare and you're not happy and your social EBITDA is going down, then cut it loose.
It was a huge ego bruise to me in 2017 when I had to close one of my offices. And that hurt because I felt like I failed. But I'll tell you, once again, somebody's got to lose to win, right? Like much like my divorce and things like that. It was perfect. I needed to go through that for whatever reason, and I would do it all over again. And I would close it, and I would have those sleepless nights, and I would feel really sad, and I would feel like a failure in order to feel how I do now.
Yeah.
So stay on this path, people. It's good.
So I'm thankful that Derek's out there watching. You said some nice things about Derek. I don't know if you saw that.
Who's Derek?
Wow, that is rude. Derek Bott.
Sorry. Oh.
Yeah. Who's Derek? I'm gonna put that
He's
on a
a
shirt. Derek Bach, you know
Resident?
Derek.
Resident?
Yeah, he's a resident. No, he's
Yeah.
chief orthodontist in our realm. He called you out for something that I was going to make a 8th grade comment about, but I'm going to let Derek make that comment.
What-
you
what?
did say that you were spreading your love around, so I'm just
I
going
am.
to leave it there. All right,
Derek,
so
come on in for a
Derek
bear
is
hug, baby.
Derek is getting all the likes,
I love you.
the likes and laughs about that comment. All right, thank you, Derek. And you say nice things about Derek, and then that's how he returns it. Let's shift into our final segment. Guys, y'all are
Final
awesome.
segment? How much more we
We
got?
have 127 orthodontists out
much
there.
more time we got?
That is, we've got about 20 minutes.
Great, man.
This is the highest number by far that we've ever had.
It's
so
the thank you all of you in India that have tuned in. Appreciate y'all.
There's a cell phone farm in Bangladesh
Thank
that's
you.
enjoying this
Yeah.
live broadcast.
Racist.
I guess that was. Yeah,
See?
you got me.
When I don't laugh, your blood pressure rises, right?
I felt white on last week's episode. I don't even know what I am this week. So anyway, ego versus heart. Let's shift into that. I want to say this before we talk about that. That's going to be our final question. You are someone that I connect with on a deeper level. There are very few people that I feel I can say that about. And the funny thing about that is, how many times have we sat in the same room together? 6? Maybe 6?
Yeah, probably.
We've only, I think, really known each other for maybe a couple years. I have always appreciated you from afar. This sounds like a romantic advance. It's not. The way you engage with people, your mindset is something I think I connect with you because I feel like I always agree with you. All right, I don't think we're the same person. I'm sure we don't see everything the same way, but I feel like I connect with you on this sort of spiritual level. And I think part of that I've come to realize is that I connect with people who are religious. I'm a very religious person. And so I want to talk a little bit about religion.
Yeah.
What does religion mean to you? What does your relationship with Jesus mean to you? What does your relationship with God mean to you?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I was born and raised Christian, which is kind of crazy for an Indian, right? But state called Kerala in India is predominantly Christian, and my mom and dad met in Christian medical school, and my mom's got 11 siblings, and my dad's got 5, and we were the second ones of both sides to the States. So literally every single family member except for one came and lived with us for an extended period of time. And so it wasn't just tough parental love. It was tough uncle love, aunt love, cousin love. So it was pretty amazing. I loved my childhood. But religion was always really important to my parents, so therefore it was made important to us. We went to church every Sunday, and we prayed before dinner. And that continued for me, on and off. Like in college, I was part of InterVarsity Christian Fellowship and led a Bible study my second year. And then in dental school at Nova, I would in South Florida, I would go to church on Sunday, but it was also South Florida, so it was an interesting dichotomy where I would also have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, to be Christian is not to be perfect. I mean, I think
No.
it's the realization that you are not perfect. I think that's
Yeah.
the whole point. There's a need because of the ways in which we've messed everything up throughout all humanity and history, that something needs to save us from that.
Yeah.
We're broken. Something needs to fix that. But yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and I don't want to get overly religious. I know for
Sure.
me,
Yeah, that's fine.
I believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe in God, Father, Holy Spirit. It's super important to me.
Yeah.
And it's to the point where it's going to be really important for me in my next relationship and hopefully marriage and for my kids. And I want to talk to them about God and read Bible studies and go to church and all that stuff. So that's just my path, and that's what I believe. But what's amazing is people like Andy Seth, who I meet with and all that stuff, he's not Christian per se, and but our beliefs on ego, heart, being where we are, and all that stuff just kind of align. So I think the more open-minded you are, the more connection you make with people, because I was raised fairly close-minded, and that's just how it was. But I've expanded that, and I just think that there's something higher that's in charge, and the more I think about that this path is perfect, the more that I can continue to succeed in life with hope and joy.
Yeah.
So
I think that whatever allows us to see suffering as a challenge that can be overcome, as opposed to something that would shut us down, is good.
yeah,
For me, that's Christianity. I know for others that's Zen Buddhism, or that's Judaism, or whatever. I think it's contingent upon us to ask the big questions that a lot of us bury. And I think one of those is certainly, how did all this get here? How did we get here? What is our purpose in life?
Yep.
And so I would invite everyone to start to answer those questions. And also not to say that I only have deep connections with those who are Christian. That's not what I said. But just that people that are asking those deep soul-seeking questions are the ones that I seem to connect with on a deeper level.
And I think in general, the more you're self-reflective, the more you start to become in tune with yourself, because this is a lifelong process, right? The more you continue to look at that stuff and why things function the way they are, and you have less of a victim mentality, but there's a reason for certain things, I think the more you can connect with people that also live their life that way, regardless of religion, because those are the types of conversations you want. And I just, one of the things that happened to me over the past year is my circle of friends got really, really tight for multiple different reasons. And I just think that in life, people are at different mile markers. And every once in a while, somebody catches a shortcut, which unfortunately is usually due to hardship. And believe it or not, that's like a shortcut. And now people that are at the same mile marker as you that haven't gone through it are just at a different one. And all you got to do is just kind of like hope and pray that they find a shortcut, but it's not as hard as you, or you can actually kind of just like have them like hop a fence and just by them seeing what you've been through. So it's just a journey, and it's not a race. It's just where you are in life. And it brings me so much peace that there are times for certain friendships that hopefully will come back and circle back. But that was really hard, that I've never been so picky about who's in my life till this year. Before, I wanted to be liked by everybody. I was out there posting on Facebook, this and that. I think people notice I'm a lot more careful on that stuff, and it's not hard to resist. I'm a little more private and leaning on people that are at the same mile marker as me right now. And there's people that are ahead of me that I cannot wait to hopefully catch up to.
That's great. Ego and heart. Ego versus heart.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Let's end with that, and then we'll do our top 5.
So my buddy sent me a clip. If you Google like this, Mike Tyson being interviewed by Joe Rogan, and
that sounds
Joe
good.
Rogan, it's great. Like, it sounds super scary, right?
Yeah.
But Joe Rogan's like, Mike, you work out still, all that stuff, and Mike says, no, that activates my ego. And I was like, oh, that's funny, right? Good. I don't need to work out. Yeah, if I miss a week, it's because of my ego, right?
Yeah, right.
But it's crazy. Like, I actually think Mike Tyson might be one of the most enlightened people, which is weird to say. But regardless, this is what I'm trying to tell people now. And it might just be a fad, but I'm going to talk about this and stuff. We got our ego and we got our heart. And our ego is not like, look at me, blah, blah, blah. But you got your ego and your heart. And those two things are fighting for what you're doing in life. Mm-hmm. And your ego is, there's so many words I want to say for the ego, but your ego is so sneaky and will convince you of things that I think are not the best for you. Even though it's your path, I think the more you're true to your heart, the better the path will be, or easier the path will be. And your ego will try to dress up certain decisions you make by throwing heart in there and try and throw lipstick on a pig and stuff like that. But I did it because of this, and it felt good. And I closed that office because, you know what? It wasn't going to work out. Like, that's just protecting yourself. It's okay to have all the feels. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be mad. You got to understand that if you're feeling not so great, sit in that. That's okay, but we have to do everything we can to silence our ego. And that's people that do a lot of meditation. It's about putting the ego away. So another buddy told me, if you're facing a tough decision in life, and this has helped me really recently, is because I had to make a pretty big decision, is he said, decrease your life expectancy. Not to like a week, but maybe like 2 years or 5 years or whatever. Because people that have given, you're given 3 months to live, you see how much they change their lives. Mm-hmm. So I was like, so what should I do? I should just quit my offices and go travel the world? And he said, no, you still have to be fiscally responsible. But when you're making major decisions, just decrease your life expectancy and see what happens when people face death or the end of their life, and see what they decide. Mm-hmm. And that made it crystal clear for me in a decision that I couldn't go this path. I have to go another path. And I hope I will constantly remind myself of major decisions, maybe even smaller decisions, of what is this saying? What is this telling me? Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man. That's the big thing I think with Facebook groups is you've got to be able to separate that reality which a lot of it's illusion, but that reality of what other people are doing, you got to not worry about chasing that. So you talk about this path that you're on. You're on the path you're on for a reason. You need to stay on that path and not be drifting over to other trails and other paths.
Totally.
Because other people are on that and like, this path's awesome. Maybe it is for you. This is the path I'm on, and you've got to be content in that. Totally. I'll talk about some of this actually at the AAO. I'm excited that you'll speak. I get to speak. Cole's going to speak. I think we will address a lot of these bigger issues that I'm excited to see our profession address. Look, I love learning about orthodontics and how to treat in Class 3 open bite, but this is the sort of stuff to me that really gets me going. I want to talk more and more about this kind of stuff.
And you want to hear something amazing about the AAO. Like, listen, and I'm only saying this because we don't talk about this a lot because the AAO is bad at educating members on what we're doing. But just like some inside info, which shouldn't be inside info, like the AAO is going to have a mental wellness like mini track and section for our members and our team members on how are you, how to check in, how to see what you're thinking. Like that to me is like amazing, and very few other professions, very few even have that. So we're actually potentially blazing the trail on mental wellness being part of our education, which to me is like the best.
Well, one other change I want to see the AO make, I want more female speakers. It's entirely way too many men, so I want to see that change too. All right, let's shift into this.
Yeah.
TDO top 5. I don't know if have you seen an episode of the TDO? Don't answer that.
Yes, I have.
It's gonna be a lightning round of sorts. You've commented in some.
Oh man, did you like questions for me?
These are questions for you. Yes, you're gonna have to answer them. You said you didn't want any preparation.
Well, as a previous number one in this class, this should be easy.
It should be very easy.
A 7 asking a 1.
Sorry. It almost seems
a 2.
wrong.
It's a 2.
Should I
it's
get
a
in
2.
like this? All right. Number 1. If you weren't an orthodontist, what would you be?
Teacher.
Teacher. What would you like to teach?
I would probably want to teach either second graders, or maybe third graders.
Okay.
But at the same time, I really enjoy middle school, high school. I really enjoy that because they actually get it.
My mom was a teacher. She taught 7th through 12th grade. I could not be a second grade teacher. I can tell you that right now. Gotcha. 0 chance. You could be. I could not.
Thank you.
I'd have to be much higher level.
I'd probably be a vice.
Probably a vice teacher. You're the teacher's aide.
There's some jab in
back there.
Teacher's aide.
You're grading papers.
Awesome.
Hey, Anil.
Awesome.
Grade this paper. All right. In 2 to 3 words, what is your favorite thing about being an orthodontist?
Significance. Gratitude. EBITDA. Kidding.
Money.
Significance. Dollar bills. Y'all isn't really a word. Significance, gratitude, and probably legacy. When it comes down to it, when I think about life expectancy of me being an orthodontist, my conversations would change dramatically with every single patient.
Yeah, for sure. Summer says the vice thing just keeps giving. I agree, Summer. Nicole Wax was going to be a 3rd grade teacher. The only other thing she could see. She would be great at that.
Nicole, let's teach at the same school.
Nicole, I got to get you on this show.
Let's do it.
By the way. All right, so what's the one thing you wish you had known sooner as a resident? Probably a lot about what we talked tonight, but what's one thing?
Let's see. Buy Invisalign stock.
Yeah.
Throwing that one out there.
That would have been good. Yeah.
Life would be pretty good.
Yeah.
One thing I knew sooner, I wish I knew sooner as a resident.
This is why I send the questions out in advance. You know.
Oh, because of the stumping.
So you're prepared. Number 1 in your class. Well, I don't know. What's the P
Hey,
value?
where's the old test for that one?
What was this? What was that voice?
Sorry about that. That's what number 1s do. You wouldn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
No big deal.
That's right. It's the number 1 thing. Now, what's one thing you
1
wish
through
you know?
6 does that.
Well, yeah, right.
Typically.
7's the cutoff. What's one thing you wish you'd known sooner as a resident? Like, what's the one thing that comes to mind? It doesn't have to be a perfect answer.
One thing I wish I knew sooner as a resident? Gosh.
You want to come back to it?
I wish I knew sooner as a... You know what I wish I knew sooner as a resident is... this is not even a plug, but I wish I knew how great Karen Moed and Hummingbird was. Because I would have started my practice 2 years earlier.
Right on.
Say that.
So consultants.
Yeah.
There's some consultants in this group. They're going to like that answer.
Yeah, I mean, just
that
it's good.
That
she catapulted my practice in the
Sure.
beginning. So.
I know it's not right for everybody, and I think the Facebook groups have probably taken a lot of business away from consultants, but I see a lot of the most successful among us doing that. All right, lightning round.
Oh, boy.
Who is your biggest influence and why?
Biggest influence has got to be either legacy of my dad, but it's got to be my mom, though, in terms of day-to-day influence.
You've told me that you see your mom. Is it still true that you see her regularly? Is that right? Or
Yeah. Every Sunday I see her.
That's great.
When she's in town, and I try one other time or two other times a week, depending on
That's
schedule.
sweet. That's great. I love that.
That's awesome.
The blessing to be close to family and to see them regularly is huge.
Yeah, and like homemade Indian food is like ridiculous.
If you say so. Are we gonna eat some Indian? No, we actually have sushi.
Yeah,
I can't wait to eat it.
for sure.
I'm a huge sushi
Trader
fan.
Joe's.
Anil got me sushi. He asked me what I wanted to eat. He got this delicious looking sushi, some noodles. What a sweet guy.
It's getting cold.
It is past cold at this point. What do you want to be remembered by? You talked about legacy. What do you hope to be remembered by? Your last question tonight.
I got a new mission now. I think I would love to be remembered by. I think we can protect a lot of the profession from corporatization. That's one thing, for sure. But honestly, I think that if we can together raise anti-bullying, mental wellness, mental awareness, and all that stuff, I think life is really, really good. We just got to stay on top of this stuff, and we're already late to the game. So I think a lot of the stuff we talked about, is the most important stuff. So
yeah, I would think if that can have an impact on one person that's considering suicide, and I think your life and your career most likely already has. I think that's hugely valuable. Dude, thank you.
Yeah, thank
you. You were awesome.
Man. This was fun.
I'm going to do my clap for you. It seems pretty impersonal in person, doesn't it? It's literally an app with some hands, and I touch it, and it claps.
It's worse in person.
It's worse in person, like most things with me. I want to thank Dr.
Hi,
Anil.
Cindy.
Hey, I want to thank Dr. Anil Idiculla for coming on tonight's show. You are an inspiration to all of us. Love you, man. I really do. I'll give you a little hug. We're going to do a little hug it up. I've got a couple of announcements, and this is where everyone just starts closing out their browser. Don't do that. We might have another episode of this show before the AAO.
Here we go.
I don't know. How are we going to talk
They're
this?
not going to close
No.
Ready?
No, you're not going to do it.
Oh, I can't?
No, you can't do it.
Why
You
not?
can't do it. Well, okay. Read this part.
Yeah. We might. You got to spice it up. We might have another episode before the AAO. But if not, please plan to come see Neon Canvas at booth 1541. Okay?
Take some notes.
Also, and he's really excited about this, and now I am too, the Digital Orthodontist Live will have a booth. Whoa! This is sweet. Yeah. We'll have a booth at 2841. 2841. I'm reading the numbers.
2841.
We will have live interviews that you'll be able to follow along with from home.
It's going to be cool.
But people are going to be going to the AAO, man.
They're going to be at the AAO. I'm not trying to take away from that. It's on the exhibit floor. We're going to bring some people in after lectures. It's going to be respectful. But there are some people that don't get to go to the AAO. They have FOMO, and they get to tune in. It's going to be cool.
Kyle will also be sponsoring the Relapse Party. Is it Q's?
Q's Restaurant. You got it.
At Q's Restaurant, Saturday night at 8:30. First 50 people get free bottles.
It's actually an open bar.
Always, and it's an open bar, but you get to keep the bottle. As always, you can find the Digital Orthodontist live on Apple Podcasts. While you're there, please subscribe and give us a 5-star review.
And I got to do this part.
Oh, yeah.
I have to. It would be wrong not to. I want to be very clear. I'm not sponsoring that party. It's a lot of great people, but Neon Campus is one of those. Embrace, Pearls, Mary's List, a bunch of other people. This was awesome. This was really special. Great. I enjoyed it. It went as well as I could have ever imagined, and then some. I really am thankful to everyone that spent an hour and a half with us talking through these issues. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for those of us out there who agree with these things and who disagree with these things, for being willing to voice those things. Text a resident. Text a resident that you have not heard from, and just ask them how they're doing.
Phil Delicious.
And we're going to play the theme song out from all of us at the Digital Orthodontist Live. I'm Dr. Kyle Fagala, signing off. Peace, everybody.
Love y'all.
From the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado, where it is a lovely, 72 degrees right now.
It is 72, right?
It's very nice outside.
All FE people watching, apparently there's a post party at my house.
At the iPad.
So come on over.
The iPad. Anyway, good night, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Love y'all.
Peace.